Welcome to Tell Me a Story, Season 2. My name's Adina Samuels, and I'm inviting anyone and everyone to share their stories with me. This week, I chatted with Yonatan Amitai. He's kind of this fearless, go kind of guy who I met on a cobbled road in the streets of Cusco, Peru, on the way to a Shabbat dinner at a tiny Chabad house. That's enough of a story on its own, but he's got a good one to share. So buckle up and enjoy. Yonatan, welcome to Tell Me a Story. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. This is the first episode of Season 2, so it's extra special. I'm wondering, before we get started, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure thing. I'm Yonatan Amitai. I'm 25 years old from Israel, originally from a small rural place named Givat, currently living in Tel Aviv. I'm a happy guy. What can I say?
Great introduction. I feel like living in Tel Aviv in the summer is enough of an introduction to understand the kind of person you are, you know?
Yeah, sure thing.
So, Yonatan, you know the rules. You come on the show and you bring a story. Tell me, what story do you have for me today?
So I have the story. It relates to the last time that I saw you back in Tel Aviv when you were here in Tel Aviv, and I was still in a cast. It's the story of how I was traveling in a fast pace all around the world and came into a hard collision with the floor, with the ground, literally, and had to take a pause, had to relax and enjoy life in a slower pace.
So, just for some context, you and I met while traveling. We met in Peru. So you were already kind of on the road then. And what I remember is you just kind of had intentions to travel for as long as you could. Tell us where you were when this pause came about.
So when we met, that was the first part of this very big, a very long period of time that I was traveling. Um, and I took this a brief moment. I came back to Israel on last summer, and then me and a really good friend of mine, both we both flew to Australia. We went to Australia to for a working holiday visa, and it was this continuation of this big travel where we would hitchhike our way from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's like 3,000 kilometers, let's say 1,500 miles. I don't know how you guys measure stuff. And
We'll take
then
both.
yeah, sure thing. And then we would work. We earned some money, and then we bought motorcycles and went back the same way, rode our way back to the East Coast. All this time, I was going through these amazing adventures. I was feeling very young and wild and free, like a modern day knight or a cowboy. Because I had on my motorcycle, which was named Bossy. It had a name named after
Its
a
name was
beekeeper.
Bossy.
Bossy, Busy, named after a beekeeper I worked for in Australia.
Uh, okay, why did you feel
And
like you needed to name the bike after a beekeeper?
well, Near is my friend, and IR. I know you people have a hard time pronouncing Hebrew names, so Nia. We were fascinated by this kind of work. This beekeeping sounded so fun. We found ourselves working for like a couple different people on the west coast of Australia, doing beekeeping. And like these first two guys that took us in, Anton and Bossy, they left their mark on us. So in their honor, we named our bikes after them.
Yeah, I hope one day someone names a motorbike after me, maybe.
All right. All right.
Okay, so you're on your bossy bike
I
traveling
am.
from east to west or west to east.
Right. And I'm
Okay.
taking I'm putting it in the garage in a friend's garage in Melbourne, and I'm going to New Zealand to travel with friends. I'm going on like this a whole new chapter, and I'm coming back to Australia. This is all like everything is like taking place very quickly. Like plans change every week, and I don't know where I'm headed. And I'm like, I came to Australia actually knowing I'm going to travel in New Zealand. I'm going to trek in New Zealand. And when I came to New Zealand, I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I go back. So
Okay.
eventually, I spent a month in New Zealand, came back to Melbourne, picked Bossy from the garage. And then I was like, right, I have no plan at all. Um, let's just ride north. Australia is like a continent. Like, why not just travel to a place with no plan and no stress and just like see where I go?
Yeah, why not? I
And
can't think of
why not?
a single reason. Why not?
Listen, this is the form of travel I like. I like having some point of reference. Let's say going from Melbourne north, I was like, right, I'm gonna meet a friend in Sydney, but all the way to Sydney, which is like 3 days of long rides. I had no plan. I was like, let's see where it takes me, and I would sleep next to abandoned churches and like speak to people on diners and like that's how I like to go. And I met this friend at Sydney in Sydney, and after like a very quick and effective 36 hours of adventures in the big city, I get on the bike and I continue my travels. And I get to this small town. It's the beginning of tropical Australia, this like part of Australia that gets humid and a lot of banana plantations and stuff. I get to this town called Coffs Harbour, and I'm like, the vibe here is really good. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay here for how long I want. And I'm meeting like people. I'm starting to get to know the area. And this one Sunday, I'm like, I'll get on the bike and I'll travel to meet this stranger I met in a party, and I'll try to be his friend. Let's meet new friends. Let's get to know new friends. What's with the face? That's literally like how you and I met on the street in the night in Peru, like a
Yeah,
complete
well, when you
stranger.
say it like that, it sounds so suspicious and scary, but, okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
okay,
think
you took
I don't
you
think of myself as a suspicious looking guy.
Fair enough, okay.
And I get on the bike and I'm listening to my favorite album at that point of time. And it's like sunny and it's Sunday and I'm cruising around and I
What's the
get to
music? What's the
this.
album?
Oh, that's a recommendation to our viewers. It's called Look Up by me and my friends. Really
Okay,
good vibe. And
okay.
that's like that adds to the tragedy of the incident of the accident is like I have this speaker system in my helmet, and I'm cruising around and I get to this hill. Behind this hill, I didn't know there was a T intersection, and I'm at like 60 kilometers an hour. I cross the hill. I see that there's no more road ahead of me, and I hit the brakes, both brakes, and I lose control of the steering, and I crash. I crash with Bossy. It crashes on the asphalt on my right foot, severely crushing it. And
Uh,
in the meantime, in the sound system, in the helmet, it's like jazzy, fun, tropical, yeah, like, and I'm like, screaming in pain, and music is so nice.
you'll never be able to listen to that album in the same way again.
Just after the crash, this really nice farmer who happened to be in this place, he comes, he picks me up, he picks up the bike, he gives me like first aid, and then he's like,
Hold on,
get
hold on.
yourself to a
Can
hospital.
you, can you explain, like, was it like country roads? Like, were there a lot of cars driving by, or you
Nah.
were just kind of alone?
So let's say I was like half an hour from this rural Coffs Harbor, this town I was staying at. It's already rural. So it's half an hour outside of Coffs Harbor. It's a pretty, let's say, deserted road. It's not frequently used. And this farmer just happens to be there treating his property when I crash. He picks me up. I'm like praying that it's not a fracture, that it's only painful, nothing serious.
Right, with an entire motorbike sitting on top of your leg. You're thinking it's just a
I
fracture.
managed to
Are you
like
panicking? Are you, like, freaking out? Are you sweating?
I feel like I have nausea. I have like I don't know. I never crashed. I never took part in a car accident, you know. Was never a part of anything like it. But the adrenaline is so like it's like pumping in my blood and I'm like, right, right, just breathe in, just take it all in. And again, this farmer, he treats me and very kindly. And the thing is, he's like picking me up, like making sure the bike is stable, and then he's like, "Get yourself to a hospital now." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, just get on the bike and go." All the way there was uphill. Now go downhill very slowly and get yourself to a hospital, to a medical center. And I did it. So that
Wait, wait,
like
wait,
that
wait, wait. Why hold on. How did he actually help you aside from standing you
because
up?
because except for the fact that my leg was starting to swell as bones were broken inside, the foot, not the leg. I had like skin here ripped off because I didn't wear gloves because I'm an idiot, and also like on my right knee, I had this like surface injuries that needed like
So he
um
put on a Band-Aid and said, "Go get yourself to the hospital."
and gave me like some painkiller and a diet coke. That's nice.
Couldn't he have, got done one additional thing, like maybe help you get to the hospital or something?
So I thought about it. I thought about it because I had time. Later, I had like 2 weeks to think. I just sat in my hostel room and thought to myself some thoughts. And I was like, even if he did, if he would have brought me to a medical center, what would I have done with the bike? Like, there would be
The
no
bike
way
is
for
the
me
least of
to.
your concerns at this point, Yonatan.
So,
Like, I'm sorry,
but
but
that's the
Bossy should be
thing.
left behind.
It was left behind, but after I was paid a bit, like a third of what I bought it for. So I
Okay,
got
hold on, hold
some
on, hold on.
compensation.
So he tells you to get on the bike, and you, with your foot that's swollen and red and bruising and all that, you just jump on the bike, take a sip of your Diet Coke, and try and find a hospital.
So two things to say about that is that first of all, I'm very like in a therapeutical way. Like I'm all in. I'm very supporting of going back into traumatic experiences, like not letting something hold you back from trying to do it again and in a safer way. I think a lot like people who get I don't know I don't know how you translate it to English, but like there's a Hebrew saying that if your mouth burns from hot water, you take care with the cold water. You're cautious with water. My mentality is like don't be afraid to try again. Don't be afraid to get back on the bike, even
Especially
if you're
right after you've broken
ah,
your leg.
and that's the second thing.
Absolutely.
An
Uh-huh.
advice, a recommendation, let's say, for our dedicated viewers is
If you ever
if
find
you
yourself on the side of the road in rural Australia with a
if you
motorcycle
break
on
your
top of
foot,
your leg, yeah.
if you break a foot on a motorcycle accident, I would recommend breaking your right foot, as the left foot is the gear. You need the gear lever. And the
Uh,
right foot is for the brake. And you also have a hand brake. So if you drive slowly, you can still change gear and brake with your hand brake. Right? So remember that when you're braking your foot on a motorcycle accident.
so
Next
which
time
foot did
you
you break?
the right foot. I was right. Clever guy.
So really you had no you could have just kept riding. You could have just continued on
Yeah.
with your
So,
working
but that's the
holiday.
thing. Talking about like traveling on in a fast pace and like wanting to get everywhere at this specific point in time, I was like very um I was, let's say, praying or wishing that it's a small fracture, or it's not even a fracture. It's something. It's a bruise. I don't know. It's something small that would allow me, after, let's say, a month, tops a month break. And then I'll go back. I'll get back to traveling on it. I'll go back on Bussy and travel. I came to ER and they were like, listen, that's a fracture. That's three fractures in one bone. That's another fracture on another bone. Like, you're gonna need to go into operation. Once they said operation, I was like, yeah, I need to get back to Israel. So I checked, and insurance companies are not scams. Apparently, you pay money and then you get something in return, which is looking at the glass is half full. Let's say the glass is half full,
Yeah,
right?
it's a great
Yeah.
reason to break your leg for sure, the insurance coverage. Yeah,
The insurance covers my flight back from Australia, and Australia to Israel is kind of pricey. I don't know if people listening to this know. Mm, But other than that, as of my medical condition, my leg has to be elevated. So they pay for business class in all flights, including Emirates, which is like the fanciest airline company, I think. And
nice.
that was a fun 12 hours from Sydney to Dubai. Worth
Okay,
it,
well, that's
worth
one
it.
way to look at the bright side for sure. But how did you feel about having to go back to Israel? Like you had kind of this, like, I feel like your mindset was this is the time to do the things that you've always wanted to do. All of a sudden, because it was something out of your control. Well, I mean, I guess you could have braked better or like, I don't know, looked at a map or something, but like out of your control.
No criticism noted, no criticism
None,
detected.
no. Your entire trip is just kind of over in a flash, right?
Right. I went through these past, like, let's say this period of traveling took around 2 years, or 1 year and a half, and um during this time I felt as if I wasn't completely my own. I wasn't completely doing things on my own, because the first part of the trip where I met you, I went after a good friend of mine, like, was looking for a companion or someone to go with to South America, and I saw this as an open door, an opportunity, and I went with her. And Australia is the same thing. Mir offered me, he said, I'm going to Australia. And I was like, wow, this sounds really fun. I want to join you. And then the crash was something that I didn't decide to, like, stopping the trip, stopping traveling. It wasn't like this conscious decision I made. It was something I don't know, I fell into. And it made
Sure.
me think, like,
Yeah, literally. Good one,
yeah, for sure.
Yonatan. That's funny.
Thank you. No puns intended. And then I find myself stuck with a cast on my leg for 2 months in my mom's house in Givarada, in this small rural town where I live. And I'm like, I'm stopping. Let's say I'm taking this break and trying to evaluate and think of all these experiences I went through. I didn't choose to do it. I didn't make this decision. only now where I'm at right now, sitting in my apartment in Tel Aviv, do I feel very complete with this journey that I went through. But let's say 5 months ago, when I find myself back home in war-torn Israel after coming back again, not as part of a decision I took, it was a very confusing time for me and a very frustrating time for me because I wanted to feel as if like I know where I'm going and I didn't.
And I think something like travel too, solo travel especially, it's all about your decisions, what you want, when you want it, kind of like you're only responsible for yourself. And then all of a sudden you're back at your mom's house, you need to kind of be taken care of and everything comes to a grinding halt. What did you actually do during those first few months where you were just kind of stuck there?
So I didn't want to stop. If I could have, even the first trip,
Of
let's
course.
say, where I met you, going from South America to North America to Europe, what brought it to a halt eventually was my sister getting married. The mentality was, if there wasn't this, the wedding, I probably would have continued on traveling. But then I took this
Hmm.
halt, and after this halt, I came back into like with this big inertia of like, now I go into traveling in Australia, and then that came to us a very fast halt. And then once I came back to Israel, again, I like this energy was building up in my stomach, and once my leg switched to this like boot that I could step on, I just like Looney Tunes dust. You have this dust cloud in my figure. Tuck flew out the house.
So now, you mentioned that you feel really complete about what happened. First of all, why and what do you think changed in the last couple of months that made you feel that way?
So actually, I'm talking to you in this very specific point in time where I'm happy to say that I finally feel complete because once I came back to Israel, I met with a really good friend of mine from back in the army, and she was born and raised in Tel Aviv, but she wanted to get out of her parents' house, and I was like, man, Tel Aviv. I'm 24 years old, like Tel Aviv, the city that never sleeps. Like I wanna move to Tel Aviv, but I'm currently crippled. And we would talk, and then we came up with this idea of like let's move in together. So we're moving in together once she comes back from like she goes to travel in the east, and once she comes back, we just get into this apartment that I found looking for apartments with like two holes, plus like jogging around Tel Aviv, and we get to this apartment, but I still don't feel complete because I need to find a job because Tel Aviv is the most expensive city in the world, so I need to finance that. And then I find this job, and I still don't feel complete because it doesn't fill in for like meaning. I'm wondering, should I go to university and where should I go? And at this specific point in time, I'm at this like a really interesting journaling job. Me and this friend of mine, we started a relationship. Like we became a couple in our very beautiful apartment, which we like to decorate and add to junk that we find in the street. We listen to really good music, and on top of all of that, I got accepted to a very nice, very respected 3-year course in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. So I'm this like, I feel like I'm at some sort of like peak.
So different from where you were the last time we talked, and it's so gratifying to hear all of that. Like you look like you're at peace. And I guess but before we close, Yonatan, I'll ask, I think your experience, despite being very unique in like your desire to travel and go off on your own and jump on a bike, I don't think a lot of people would do that. But your experience of like looking for yourself or that feeling of incompleteness. I think it's something all kind of young 20-year olds go through. It's just like kind of part of the journey. What kind of advice would you give to someone who is in that space who just feels so incomplete without a sense of direction and not sure where to go?
So, as you said, in a humble way and a very wise thing to say is that all of us are still in this journey, and I don't feel like I figured anything. I feel as if eventually, after a long, frustrating period of time, I can look back at this puzzle and see pieces fit together. Not necessarily the pieces where I'm standing at right now, but parts that wouldn't connect, things that I didn't understand why they were there, why I had to go through these experiences. I don't believe that everything has a meaning, but I do believe that everything connects, that everything is has a reason because of what we go through. And you meet people that inspire you, and you meet people that you have genuine connections with. And now, where I am right now, all these confusing moments and like physical pain that I went through, now I see that it adds up to something I couldn't have known about. I couldn't have figured it out. I couldn't have planned this. So if I could give any 2 cents to anyone, that would be like, fake it till you make it and trust the process, and just like day after day.
Can't emphasize everything you just said enough. Steve Jobs said something to the effect of, only when you're looking back can you see how the dots connect, but when you're in it, you're kind of just jumping from dot to dot. He said it much better than that. We'll find the real quote, but you get the idea. And that's in a very different way. I have never broken my leg, nor even been on a motorcycle. But I completely agree that in the moment I had no idea where I was going or what I was trying to reach. Even I couldn't even articulate that. All I knew was that every step forward that I was taking was one that I felt like, either if I had control, I was doing the thing that I wanted to do, or if there was no way that I could control it, I was at least doing my best to respond um in in the way that in the best way that I could. I mean, I sound like I nailed it, but there was a lot of hard points too. But the point is, as long as you try and you aim for whatever that thing is that you're looking for, even if you don't know what it is yet, you keep just moving along your path, doing all the things that are right for you. Ultimately, those things will come your way. So, Yonatan, I'm so happy for you. I think maybe you should try breaking the other leg, see what else happens.
I think everyone should break a leg.
And you're an actor, so yeah, that's good. Well, Yonatan, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. Really fun to chat with you and hear it again. And yeah, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Adina.
And that wraps up another episode of Tell Me a Story Season 2. Thanks for listening. If you like this episode or think you might have a story worth sharing, reach out. I'd love to hear from you.